I want you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. We are drive-in mutants. We are not like other people. We are disgusting. As long as one drive-in remains, we will boogie till we puke. The drive-in will never die. Amen. All right.
Hello, fellow followers. Welcome back to FanZcene. Greg here, and today I have for you, the Oscars are irrelevant and the drive-in will never die. Much like physical media, which I love talking about physical media on here on my channel, the drive-in is a subject I enjoy and I love talking about as well too, especially since, if anybody knows, I'm a huge fan of Joe Bob Briggs' The Last Drive-In, and a lot of the movies I love were popular, became popular through the drive-in and stuff like that. And through late night cable, video store, and all that. But as far as like the Oscars being irrelevant and what this is all about with the drive-in not dying, let's pop up this article here real quick from Variety. There's just one section we're going to read real quick, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. Basically, what this says is the Oscar rules updated for 2025 awards. Original score shortlist increased, blah blah blah. But this is what we're talking about: drive-in theater eligibility removed and more. So I'm going to scroll down here to where it talks about that. And it's just this little blurb. It's just this little blurb right here. It says the Academy will no longer recognize drive-in theaters as qualifying venue for Oscars eligibility, a measure temporarily adopted in 2020 when indoor movie theaters were closed, and they also allowed streaming, which sucks, and VOD, which sucks. But basically, that's it. That's it. I mean, I don't know why they put in a massive headline that on this Variety thing, but it's something that's gotten people talking. Sometimes that little bitty blurb there, like the drive-in. What does that mean? Basically, they're saying drive-ins are not superior places for Oscar-worthy movies. They'll just these horrible, dread places that don't exist anymore. The Oscars are for thespians, and no, they're not. The Oscars are irrelevant. They're pointless. They're pointless. The Oscars have not been relevant for years. It's basically giving out a bunch of fake awards to fake people for movies that nobody likes. I mean, there was a time when the Oscars actually meant something, when people would win an Oscar and a movie or people would win an Oscar, and you'd be like, maybe I need to see that. And you see it and you go, maybe I should have given this a chance. It was good. Nowadays you see it, somebody win an Oscar or the movie that wins an Oscar, and you go, oh, well, I know I don't need to see that movie. That movie sucks. And 9 times out of 10, it does suck. In some cases, some Oscars, winners are actually pretty good. But for the most part, they're not. They're irrelevant nowadays. And this is another like out of touch thing. I think it's sort of out of touch. And yes, I'll be fair here. I'll be fair here. Most drive-ins don't exist anymore. They don't exist anymore. But there are drive-ins that still do exist throughout the world. I have one that's actually close to me where I live. There's still drive-in, and most of the drive-ins still exist in the South and the Midwest because there's still a little bit of resemblance of that Americana lifestyle in the South and the Midwest, where families are family, kids go outside and play, and you actually see a movie at a theater or a drive-in, or maybe you actually have a physical copy of a movie. There are places out there that still exist, and I'm somebody who loves that. And I think what I get out of it is it feels like I'm disconnecting from the digital world and going into the analog world. We're not going backwards here, people. I know some people think you talk about this nostalgic stuff and maybe you're trying to live in. What I'm really doing is like I'm trying to step my foot into the past and relive something that is something that's still there that I can still enjoy. And for the most part, what this means is like no new movies can go through the drive-in and be considered legitimate contenders. But that's okay because there's a whole community of people who love the drive-in. The Mutant Fams built up around by Joe Bob Briggs and The Last Drive-In. I mean, they literally saved the Mahoney Drive-In a year or two ago from being closed down and destroyed. It's one of the oldest drive-ins, and sadly the owner has the guy that ran it has passed away, may he rest in peace, but it's still going. The Mahoney Drive-In is still around because of people who love that stuff. And for those of you who don't know, the drive-in was something that was really huge back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s. It was where people would go. They would gather. They would watch these movies. In some cases, in most cases, you would get like a mainstream movie, and that would be your A movie. And then you would get the B movie, the B side. That's where the B movie comes from. The B movies were basically like the secondary feature or whatnot, and it was usually a genre film, a horror flick, or an action, a thriller, or something that they would just put out there in the drive-in, and people would stay and watch that. And that's where the whole like double feature drive-in B movie stuff comes from. And it was huge, and it lasted well into the 80s. And then, sadly it dwindled off. And for the most part, much like people like to say physical media, it's gone the way of no longer being mainstream. Physical media. That's why I don't like to say things are dead or dying or dead, like physical media or the drive-in or something, because, or even like people always talk about vinyl. It's because people have wrote off vinyl like it was dead. Now it's back bigger than ever. People's writing off physical media like it's dead. I have a feeling physical media is going to come back, in a pretty good way. It won't be mainstream. I don't think the drive-in will ever fully go out. I don't believe that it's going to be mainstream ever again, but I don't believe it'll ever fully go out. And I just wanted to show some of the, like, with the drive-in, some movies became really, really great. That's where we get, like I talk about, like, and get movies like this. Movies like this used to play in the drive-in, the B movies, these sci-fi from the vault type of movies here. These stuff like this would play, and it's so amazing. And or stuff like this, Planet of the Vampires, huge in the drive-in and stuff. These movies got a great cult following. That's where you get the cult following in B movies, is a community of people would get built up around these and love these movies and watch them. And movies like George Romero's The Crazies and Dawn of the Dead and all them, they had these lives in the drive-in, or like, the Bikini Drive-In. Movies like exploitations, sexploitation films, horror films and stuff were really big in the drive-in. Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, this stuff like this was really, really big, and got some fair play in the drive-in. They were they were loved, and there's still a love and a following for them. And like even a lot of the canon films from the 80s were huge in the drive-in. They were huge mainstays in the drive-in. There's like these little compilations of drive-in the trailers and stuff that you can find out there on Blu-ray and stuff like that. And I saw this, about this Oscars, and I saw a lot of people retweeting this and stuff like that. And I myself, I popped it up, I retweeted it myself, and because I saw it as just something that it touched me. It's like, the Oscars, and this is what's going on now and stuff like that. And so I saw it, and it's just something that that I wanted to cover, and I wanted to share with you guys. I wanted to give my thoughts on this. I wanted to share my thoughts. Like, this is what I put out there. I said, who even recognizes the Academy or the Oscars anymore? Fake awards for fake people. Besides the drive-in, will never die, with Joe Bob Briggs there. And that's one of the reasons why I love talking about cult films and B movies, and I love talking about physical media. I love talking about the drive-in. I love sharing my thoughts on this, and I love being able to look at these things from a different angle than most people, because like I mentioned, I think so most of us the mainstream has moved on to the digital world. I like to go back to the analog world. There's something special about that analog world of a physical copy in your hand, of going to a theater, going to a drive-in. Who cares if a movie that plays at a drive-in isn't legitimate to the Oscars? Who gives a shit, right? The Oscars aren't legitimate. They're not. They're DEI, diversity-driven, shitty movies, right? Movies like this that people say are bad, so bad they're good. To me, I use that term, but I don't necessarily like that term, because just because you think this is bad doesn't mean other people. I love this movie. I love movies like this. I love it. These are considered bad B movies, bad movies all around, but I think they're great movies. And I think there's so many people that love these movies and keeping them alive. There's a reason why these movies like this are getting bought out and sold out on physical media more than any new mainstream releases, other than like Oppenheimer and stuff like that. But I mean, there's a reason, because people remember that. People love those movies. They love the drive-in feel, the aesthetic and stuff. And yeah, maybe physical media at one point in time, when the home video, the video store came out, it kind of hurt the drive-in, because much like the John Waters, who just had a birthday, said, once that came out, you can just have you can have your midnight movie marathon in your own house. And but I do think there's still something special about going to the drive-in. I do think there's something special about physical media. I do think there's something special amongst the people that still love these things and want to support these things. And I don't think there's nothing special about the Oscars anymore. They're irrelevant. The Academy and the Oscars mean nothing. They're a shell of what they used to be. Give me a good B movie, cult, exploitation film, horror movie, comedy, just out there that's made to entertain, that's made to have fun with. Go out into I urge anyone, if there's a drive-in theater near you, if you still get to a drive-in theater, go experience a drive-in theater. It's fun, sitting in your car, drinking some pop, eating some popcorn, watching a movie, you get that speaker. It's something nostalgic, something great about it. It may take you back to a sense of wonder when you were a kid. Sometimes you need to step outside the digital world and go back into, an analog world and just enjoy. Who gives a shit about the Oscars? Who cares what they think? What makes something legitimate? As long as you like it, you enjoy it, and you have fun with it, and you that's all that matters, right? That's all that really matters. That's why I do my channel. That's why I talk about stuff like this. But there's my thoughts on all this. So what are you guys' thoughts on this? Do you guys think the Oscars are irrelevant? Do you think the drive-in will never die? I'm sure I'll get tons of comments saying I'm an idiot and stuff. The drive-in's dead. Physical media is dead. Sometimes I get comments like that. People, they've moved on. They don't care, and that's okay. That's their thoughts, their opinion. They're allowed to have that. But for those out there, go to a drive-in. Tell me what was your last driving experience. Tell me some of your favorite B movies. Leave all that in the comment section down below. And if you liked what you saw here, maybe consider hitting that like button or subscribing and hitting that bell for notifications. That would be awesome if I earned your guys' subscriptions, or possibly share the video out for everybody to see, or join and become a channel member, because that would help out my channel immensely. Thank you, and shout out to all my channel members. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys for being channel members here and for all of your support. And to everybody watching, whether you like me, hated me, or like this video, or hated this video, I thank you for sticking this long. Wherever you all are, please have a great, safe, happy, healthy day, morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Always support physical media. It truly is the superior format. And the words of the greatest drive-in critic of all times, Joe Bob Briggs, the drive-in will never die.